All right, so back talking about our second class of echinoderms. Remember, we're in phylum Echinodermata. Our first class was Asteroidea, which is the sea stars. Our second class of echinoderms is Holothoroidea, which is the sea cucumbers. And these are secondarily bilateral. And so what's funny about these is that they have bilateral symmetry, right? So you cut them in half and they're the same on both sides. But the ancestor of echinoderms was pentaradial. Okay, so they then evolved bilateral symmetry again after they had the pentaradial symmetry. And these animals are mostly filter feeders and deposit feeders. So again, they're on the bottom of the ocean like the rest of our phylum, and they are eating stuff basically in the mud and the muck on the bottom of the ocean. Okay, and so they do have tentacles, but they're really in the small portion on top here at the other end of the anus. Okay, um, and running down from there, we see the respiratory tree of these organisms. And the ring canal here is pretty small and reduced. So though they are still echinoderms and they have the ring canal and the water vascular system, it's reduced compared to in something like a sea star or a brittle star. What's really interesting, I think, about sea cucumbers is that they're an amazing model of animal regeneration. Okay, so that when you stress out a sea cucumber, they evert or throw up all their organs. So this is everything: digestive tract, gonads, everything. And then somehow they regenerate all of that. So they survive taking out their entire insides and then they can grow it again. Now, I think we talked about this before in class is that um, lots of animals are not as good at regeneration. Think about things like human regeneration. And, our liver can regenerate from a small piece. But other than that, our organs are pretty uh, not able as easily to regenerate. And so animals like this can give us an insight into what's required for regeneration of this and things like wound healing as well. So really, really cool animals that have amazing regeneration capabilities. So that's sea cucumbers, Holothoroidea. Our third class is Echinoidea, sea urchins. And so how their body plan looks a little bit different than a sea star. They're going to have similarly the anus on top and the mouth on the bottom. And the tube feet, instead of being entirely on this oral surface, are going to be sort of all around here and sticking out between the spines. Okay. And so they can actually move from any direction all around the organism if they get tumbled in the surf or they're trying to attach. Sea urchins will often attach under rocks on the side, right? And so they'll need 2 feet to be able to move kind of all around. Our fourth class is called Ophoroidea. This is the brittle stars. And these are deposit feeders and often scavengers. Um, and so they're pentaradial, right? Like our sea stars are. But they have this central disc here, and then these 5 really skinny little arms. Okay. Interestingly, they do not have a complete digestive tract. Okay. And that's thought to be because they are pretty minimal in terms of tissue, and they have this particular shape, right? So you see the mouth opening underneath here, and you're also going to have waste coming out that place as well. Okay, so brittle stars or Orphiroidea are going to be bottom feeders, deposit feeders, scavengers. And our final class of Echinodermata is going to be the sea lilies, the Crinoidea, and this is the most primitive echinoderm. Okay, and so for a long time, people thought these might be like something like corals, but they are in fact echinoderms, so they're going to have similarly the water vascular system, and but they look like that, right? They look like it might be like a fan coral or something. So they have this crown on top. It's kind of a feathery bit on top, and these arms coming out from here. This part where they attach is called the calyx. Okay, but the funny thing is they can actually move with these cirri down here. So they can move across the bottom. So they're not sessile like a coral or a sponge would be. Those are crinoids. So we see all the kinds of different feeding strategies in these groups. So sea urchins are herbivores, and I mentioned them before, as they are grazing on kelp commonly, particularly in our kelp forests. And so they're herbivores in the oceans. Sea stars are commonly carnivores. We see sea cucumbers being deposit feeders. And these feather stars, these crinoids, are often filter feeding. Okay, so though they can move, they're not moving to be predators. They are still filtering for their food. Okay. Okay, so that's it for echinoderms. We'll watch some tube feet videos when we get together for a lecture after spring break. And I will see you all then.